iFILM, London. iFILM, London.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us today. We're here to announce our big December show, which will take place on the 15th of December at the XL Centre in London, in Docklands, where Ricky Burns will be making another defence of his title against an opponent that we will be naming next week. George Groves will be defending his title or challenging for another title. Unfortunately, can't be here today. He got married on Saturday and is on honeymoon. But we'll have a press conference with him in a couple of weeks' time when he gets back. Billy Joe is Commonwealth champion. He'll be having his 16th fight, which may be a defence of his title or challenging for another title on the same card. And Tony Conquest, who's 10-0 from Romford, will be defending his WBO Cruiserweight, International Cruiserweight title. And there'll be another 3 or 4 title fights on the card. So we'll have 6 or 7 12-rounders on the night. Plus there'll be a lot of our youngsters on there, Frank Buglioni, Bradley Skeet, and a few others to be named in the next week or so. Ricky Burns, to my right, is without doubt, I think, the most improved champion in this country. He's gone from strength to strength. His performance a week ago for me was phenomenal. He beat Kevin Mitchell, who I really did think was going to give him a hard fight, but he just took the fight to him, took the fight out of him, and it was a fabulous win. And I think has really cemented his legacy as one of the great British world champions. He's obviously looking for big fights. We're looking to give him big fights. As I say, we're naming his opponent next week. We'll be out of the top 10 rankings, and then we'll be going on, providing he comes through for big fights in 2013. He is, I think, a consummate professional. Anybody who is turning professional should look at him. This guy, what he does outside the ring, stands him in good stead for what he does in the ring. He lives a great life. He trains hard. He prepares. He doesn't cut any corners. And as you can see, he's gone from strength to strength in his last few fights. And as I say, anybody who wants to be a champion should look to Ricky Burns, because that's how you prepare to be a champion. No cutting corners, no excuses. He does what he says and performs in the ring. Young George here, sorry, young Billy even here. He's, I think his last performance was probably his best since he's turned pro. A lot of people fancied the Australians to beat him. I don't know why, but they did. But I thought it was going to be a tough fight for him. But he just took him apart, and it was a similar job in really what Ricky did up in Scotland. He just didn't give the guy a minute to himself and jumped on him and just basically done a job. He should be now fighting for the British or European title. That's what we'll be pushing for. He's a great young talent. He was the junior Olympian who turned pro with James DeGale and Frankie Garin. But at the moment he's looking the goods and looking, I think, to be a future world champion. If he continues to do what he does, and he's training hard and working hard, and you only got to look at him, see the condition he's in, that he can go on again to do some great things. And Tony, young Tony over there, he's done well. I mean, nobody sort of thought he was going to be where he is. Probably he did, and hopefully he gets a few more fights under his belt. He'll be challenging for a world title himself. So he's got himself into the top 10, and as I say, I'm hoping to see some big fights for him next year. George Groves, he's had an unfortunate time this year. He's had various injuries, kept him out of the ring. We was hoping that he was going to be fighting in September, but that wasn't really the case. But he will be ready to fight in December, and obviously when he comes back from his honeymoon, you guys will be able to talk to him and see what his views are on the matter. But he himself should be fighting for a world title. I know he's only had 14 fights, but he was due to fight Stiglitz, and that fight went by the wayside. because of his injury. But had he had taken that fight, I think he would have wound up winning that, and we would be sitting here as a world champion. But he's got to get his opportunities and get it back out, as I say, in December, and hopefully in a big fight against a named opponent that will be a challenge for him. He had a great win in America in July. Unfortunately, got cut, but we want to keep that momentum going for him to get him in a position where he'll be challenging for a world title. I expect this show to be a sellout. It's the best in boxing, the best world champion in Britain, some of the best young talent coming through, some of the best young prospects. There's something there for all the fans to see some of the really good domestic talent that is around at the moment in British boxing. We've got some great fighters coming through, some great fighters are established, and they'll all be on show on the night. Anyway, but the guys are here. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Frank, can you tell us the situation regarding the WBO and what they said about Ricky having to fight Adrian Broner?
Well, they did say that, but Broner's now fighting against DeMarco on the 17th of November. If that fight could have been made in December, we would have gone with that. But it's too soon for Ricky to be fighting on this, what's it, 7 weeks time, 6 weeks time. Too soon after that fight. He needs a break in between his preparation. We would have gone with it. But I've spoken to Richard Schaefer from Golden Boy, and the bottom line is that if Ricky wins and the winner of that fight, which they fancy is going to be Broner, wins, we'll make that unification match in late February, March.
Is that a fight you fancy, Ricky?
I'd say I've said all along I want the big unification fight. Obviously I was meant to fight Adrian Broner when I was down at super featherweight. Everybody for some reason thought that I had jumped up to avoid him when he was made mandatory for that, when the real reason was obviously I was struggling to make the weight. So again, I've got a point to prove there as well. That's a fight that I would love, but I need to come through in the 15th of December first.
Frank, question?
Word on the XL. Can you tell us what the setup would be?
It'll be the arena where they held the Olympic boxing, but we'll have ringside. So we'll get some more atmosphere. It's great atmosphere for the Olympic Games, but we'll get more atmosphere. So it's going to be it is going to be a big show. We are in negotiation with some really, I believe, some good fights for these guys. I think everybody's going to be really pleased with what we come up with.
I know it's always difficult to make matches, but maybe the ambition for 2013, Ricky, is to become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world?
I'll just take it one fight at a time. I've always said the fight I'd love to go out and try and obviously fight for the ring title, the ring magazine belt. Hopefully, as long as I come through, I can obviously get a higher ranking, and then obviously get the opportunity to do it, to be a dream come true.
He had a great performance in Scotland. I mean, I can't sing his praises high enough. The way he went about his business and what he did there, I thought was one of the best displays I've seen this year from a fighter. He was expected to be a real tough fight, a close fight, and it was nothing like that at all. He just went in there and just basically done a fabulous job as far as he could. I mean, Ricky he's quiet, he's laid back. If he was a more outgoing guy, if he was, shouted more about himself, he would be a massive name. But he's not that type of guy. He's a quite unassuming guy. I think he's the Clark Kent of boxing. As I've said before, he's once he gets in that ring, Superman's there, and he's just phenomenal. His work rate is great. His attitude is brilliant. He'll fight anybody. He doesn't want to duck anyone. He's never once said to me he's not fighting whoever we put in front of him. And he's beaten some good fighters. I mean, he beat the world #1 super featherweight in Martinez. And not only beat him, took him to school and done him his own game. Didn't go out there and box him, got off the floor, done a fabulous job, knocked the fella out, beat him in every department, and so much so that Martinez won another version of the world title was it 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
In
ago.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas. Went and won another world title. That tells you something about this fella.
Frank, if the Broner fight was made, would Ricky be happy to travel? Would he be happy for him to go to America?
Yeah. I've got to tell you something. He's travelling anyway. He's coming down to London. But from my point of view, I have no problem with him fighting anyone in that division. I don't think there's anything between all of them. And I think if it comes down to heart, desire, and preparation, I think he's better than all of them, and he will prove to be that case. He's a hard fighter to beat, and he's had some good. Even when you look at the couple of losses on his record, at that time Alex Arthur was flying, wasn't he? He was really flying when he beat him, and maybe it was a bit soon for him, but he learned from it and he come back from it, and I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I really do. He's beaten everybody he's had to beat, who's been the best around. He's gone in there, been the underdog in so many of those fights, and come through them all and done a job.
Ricky, you've spoken of your desire to possibly box for the Ring Magazine title, maybe unify the championship at lightweight. So that's respect within the business. How important is recognition and profile among mainstream sports fans? How important is that to you?
Honestly, it just doesn't bother me one bit at all.
Bothers me.
So like everybody knows me, after fights I just honestly like things to get back to normal. I just don't like all the fuss and the attention you get for the time after the fights. If I could turn up, go in, do my job and then disappear, I would do it. I'm happy to do it as well.
So what is the motivation? Is it purely financial?
No, it's just boxing's all I've ever wanted to do. 12 when I started, that's about 17 years now. Even when I left school, when I was although I'm a qualified mechanic as well, even when I was doing that, I always knew as soon as I was qualified that I was going to pack in to concentrate on boxing full time. Even when I lost, it never set me back at all. My attitude now is I'm not feared to get beat, and that's how I've always said I want to fight the best. And obviously you could put me in with any day and I would go in and give it all. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. But I would come back for it.
Billy Joel, how do you see your career progressing in 2013, and are there anyone you want to share the ring with?
Obviously I'm looking for a bit bigger than this, like British or something now. Talk to Frank and that, but to be honest, I'll be happy defending this, or even if I'm lucky enough to get the British in December, it'll be a bonus. So as long as I've got the British in 2013, that's it really, that's my goal.
There's obviously some big names in the middleweight division. How far up do you think you are?
I don't think I'm that far at all really. I mean, you got Murray, Barker and Macklin. I mean, put me in the ring with them now. As a fighter, I know I'll beat them, so you know what I mean. So in another 8-9 months as well, getting ready for them, I'll be that level above again.
Be ready to fight for a world title by the end of next year, easy. By then he'll have, hopefully, if he keeps winning, he'll have 20 fights under his belt, and he won't be far off of it, that's for sure.
Frank, Billy Joe was matched against Martin Murray, wasn't he, for the British title? Why didn't that fight happen?
I think he was going to vacate. They put out the purse bids, and I don't think Murray wants to fight. That's how it's been. Hopefully, he's going to want to fight for the title. So if it goes to purse bid, we'll do it. But I think Murray will vacate it rather than fight. If I was him, I'd vacate it.
Frank, could we see Derek Chisora on this bill?
Well, he's not licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control, but we'll see what happens.
Tony Conquest, you must be over winning, breaking into the top 10. What are you looking for 2013?
Well, I've got my eyes on the next month's British title fight between John Lewis Dickinson and Shane McPhilbin. So hopefully, fingers crossed, if I come through on this show and look good, then I can get in the mix with them boys. I've got a world ranking now as well with the WBO, which is I'm over the moon about. I couldn't be more happy with that. But I want that Lonsdale belt real bad, so I've got my eyes on that.
Has your profile's been going up a little bit? People been recognising you a bit more?
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, a lot more people are taking a bit more notice now. But hopefully they'll take a bit more notice. So fingers crossed. All I really want to do is just achieve my goal, and that's the Lonsdale belt. Anything above and beyond that's a bonus.
more questions? All done? Thanks very much. Thanks, guys.